Today we're going to talk about something a lot of people have not probably heard of. Well, I hadn't until recently, and that is the word murmuration. And you're probably like, what the fuck is that? Okay. Well, this pertains to the fact that I have been hearing the theme about the me in the we since November. And I was in the presence of a bunch of wonderful women, and I just kept hearing the theme over a few days about the me and the we. And I was like, what does that even mean? Like, why I keep hearing this? And it's continued to be a theme. And fast forward, we are in a time where there's a lot of division, fear, stress. A lot of people feel isolated and lonely, or they feel fearful of connecting because they don't know how the people are going to react to how they feel or how they have their own opinions about things. And so it can create this separation. And then all of a sudden we're all not working together, right? And then we become more isolated and not the best version of ourselves. So today we're going to dive into the idea of how some birds gave me a little pointer solution. And so you'll have to bear with me on that. But I want you to stay tuned if you are desiring more about community, which has been some of my recent episodes about having community around you, and also about having a warrior buddy and accountability buddy when you're trying to make change in your life and just feel more connected. And so this is kind of tapping onto the end of that community episode in a way. And this came to me through a series of events through around the same time that that community episode was recorded. So I'm Erica, Powered by Joy podcast host. If you haven't been here before, thank you for joining. We're here discussing ways to experience more breakthrough. If you feel stuck, bored, frustrated, and you just want to make change in your life, or you want to change to feel more joy and pleasure and play and adventure, or feel more embodied in who you're supposed to be, or feel more connected to other people in your life, so that when you die and croak at the end, you're like, okay, yeah, that was a pretty good ride. Okay, we're talking about those kind of ideas here. So if that sounds like something you're really wanting to pursue, then you're in the right place, my friends. So, okay, back to this idea. And I was sitting with my hubby, 2-3 weeks ago, or maybe longer, I don't even remember now. But we were sitting in our living room in the late afternoon. It was about 4 o'clock. And we were sitting there and we noticed this huge group of birds that kept growing in size, but there was this huge group of birds and they were flying into our yard. We have 2 small trees and they were flying in, landing on those 2 trees. They'd be there for, 15, 30 seconds. And then they'd all start to get up or fly away all, in this flood, and they'd go out and then they'd swoop around the neighborhood. They weren't landing anywhere. And then they came and they swooped and landed back in those 2 trees. And they just kept doing this for 30, 40 minutes. And we were both like, whoa, this is crazy. What is going on? And then it happened again the same time the next day. And I take the gift of nature as a way of receiving signs and symbols. And I feel that nature and our spirit guides, our heavenly Father, they give us people that have passed over, connect in through animals and give us messages and guidance and confirmation we're on the right track a lot of times in our lives. And so when I'm seeing something and it repeats, I am going to receive that as a indicator. Someone's trying to teach me something, share something, give me a little pointer. So I was like, I wonder what that is. I was really thinking about it and was texting with a friend, and we're like, you've been being called to share more about play and joy on social media and that side of yourself. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Because to be honest here, being real, I definitely struggle with sharing more about my daily life and things oftentimes. And so I like to share some of my favorite things, which is grandkids and motorcycles and family and things like that. But that I don't share just kind of the little stuff and things I do to bring joy into my life daily, even the little stuff. That includes my glasses. I love my glasses. They bring me so much joy, and I haven't worn these in a while. So I was like, I'm going to bring these bad boys back out. Joy. So, okay. back to that. So I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I think that is tied together somehow. So I was like, okay, that's good. Now, it was the next morning I got up and I was like, okay, why am I feeling like I need to look up what it means? Like Google, like what does it mean when birds are swooping in a flock and swooping around in the air? Like what does that mean? And the definition of the word murmuration came up. And when I looked into it, it was fascinating because of going back to that me and the we theme. Because one of the cool things about birds and murmuration, it's usually starlings, when they do it, people say, well, how do they stay like together in formation? How do they all know where to go to stay in this flock while they're swooping around together in this crazy movement? And there was an amazing observation by scientists, and that was that the bird pays attention to its 7 closest birds to them, neighbors, companions in the whole flock. They focus and concentrate on the movement of those 7 closest birds. And that allows them to stay in this united movement, this beautiful movement of the whole flock. And that it has to start with 2 joining. So you've got the 2 groups observing their near 7. And once those 2 join together, it starts and more birds will join, creating this huge murmuration, which will be, people, if you Google it, it's like thousands of birds are flying in these huge flocks. This one wasn't thousands in my yard, but it was still a lot. It was like, what is happening? You could hear just the wings when they were flying in and out. It was crazy. And it just struck me that I've been hearing this me and the we, and again, how that one bird is staying in contact, trying to align and be in alignment, and they hold integrity into holding their spot in that group by staying and paying attention to their surroundings, like staying with each other. And so they're looking out for each other, right? And I thought, oh, that is such an amazing example in nature of what we are being called to do. So there's usually, from what scientists could tell, they were trying to figure out why they do this. And it talked about 2 things. And one was that the birds, in the midst of danger, cacophony, noise, and chaos, the birds will unite into this murmuration to protect themselves from prey, being attacked by hawks and birds of prey. And that's how they stay safe when they're in the middle of all this chaos. That drives them together into this murmuration. And then the second is just for play, that they unite into this creative united flow of movement together, and it allows them to just have this amazing experience. So they were like, it's play or it's this survival. When they sense danger and there's all this chaos, they will unite into this movement to stay safe. And in our current world, I feel like the collective of all of us as a whole, there's a lot of this division where it's like all these individual birds trying to survive out there and get the worm and do all these things. And there's this me against that, very isolated. And it was just a beautiful reminder in nature that if we can even just in today's world form a connection, a genuine connection, form that circle, form that tribe, form that group around you, whether it's all women or it's just people that you love in your family or friend circle. Can you find 7 people that you dedicate energy to just checking in with, staying in integrity with who you're trying to be, and show up in love and kindness and compassion? And can you check in on them, make sure, see where they're at, see if you guys are, staying in that same group and really trying to help lift each other up to be a part of this bigger collective by being in unison in this smaller group, this small tribe community that We thrive when we get into this community space, and especially when you're finding people who are pursuing the same flight movement, which would be the same as like the same core values and things. It can bring unity and joy and pleasure and safety when there's hard times, or just a feeling of not being alone. And when you have a group coming together in alignment and being in integrity with their actions, which it talked about in all the definitions of these birds in murmuration, that there was an integrity to holding their spot in alignment with what they had all kind of agreed to. That's part of like joining a community where you're all committed to this alignment, to making kinder choices, being more compassionate, being more love, being in more joy, and sharing and supporting, loving on each other. Like, what a beautiful reason. Then you could be in murmuration for the joy and play of it. But the benefit is that on the tough times, you still can have that support of the whole flock, right? And there's so much more power and beauty and safety when we're in community. But it started with the me inside the we. That one bird has to choose to be self-aware, be in integrity, and stay in alignment with the 7 closest, which allows them to connect into the bigger collective community being, in my mind, that's like all the humanity. We're all really human beings. We're not all these different divided groups. We're all earthlings, maybe I should say. So really, we can all seek to have these higher aims and goals to connect. So I thought it was just a fun story I wanted to share with you about the power of community and how even nature is pointing us to the solution that we need right now in this time, in this day and age, where we need to be lifted up and joining together. I just feel like there's so much healing in this message. So I thought I'm going to just share this. It's kind of a little offshoot of my normal episodes, but I was like, but at the same time, it totally supports what I'm talking about later, about like we thrive when we are part of a we. We're not just about me. We're about both. We're taking care of ourselves and our neighbor, our others in our lives. So if you think that this message might inspire someone else to go out and find their tribe of 7 they're going to connect with and really commit into growing deep connections, a sense of commitment to living your lives at a higher caliber and bringing in that joy and growth and compassion and kindness, I challenge you to share this out. I would love it if you would even comment in the comment section about like ways you plug in to the we in as the me. Like, what things do you to plug into community so that you feel connected? Are there ways that you try to stay in alignment? Are there amazing groups that you have found that have this higher aim towards healing and joy and love? Well, I would love it if you'd share, like, subscribe, do all the things, leave me a review, found this helpful. And again, if you need help kind of diving into, okay, but I'm not sure even what that tribe looks like for me, it might be that you need to do a little healing in yourself. And oftentimes we have to figure out how to love and heal ourselves so that we can be present in the we, because being part of a we can actually sometimes be uncomfortable, painful if we aren't healed and taking care of ourselves, or we get in there and we're doing it for the wrong reasons, like to feel worthy or earn love or attention. So we got some healing to do. If it feels uncomfortable with the idea of this concept, you reach out to me and we can dive deep into that heal so we can open up and become that me in the we, in that murmuration. So again, reach out if you need to. I also just wanted to say thank you if you have stayed tuned this long, and I want you to have an amazing week, and I will see you soon.